Hello, and welcome to the Brutal Iron Gym podcast, where our goal is to cut through the BS and deliver the brutal truth about topics related to health and happiness. Today is podcast number 1727. The topic is with Meredith, and the title is Weight Change Impact on Mental Health. Hello, Meredith.
Hello.
Yes, that sounds weird to say to you.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Hello,
Yes.
Meredith.
I see you all day, and then all of a sudden, hello. Yeah. Yes. So we're going to talk today a little bit about weight change and kind of how you've navigated that through your life and how you feel about it.
All right.
Okay. So
Good
that's
topic.
It. Yeah, I'm just
That's
lobbing
it.
it up there, and then you're going to take it and
Just
run.
go.
Yes.
Where do we start?
Well,
The biggest.
Yes. So we're thinking about the moments throughout your life where you've noticed like weight change or shape change or aesthetic change, and then how you felt in those times,
Yeah.
and then how you progressed into the next one.
Buckle up, everybody.
Yes, pretty much. Yes.
Okay. This is fun to talk about with your spouse, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, we've both been through eating disorders.
I
and
know.
stuff, so we've actually talked about this in our private life.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So it's the idea of us wanting to share it on social media is
If I can help someone.
Yes.
If I could just help someone.
yeah, people attach a lot of emotional weight to their physical weight. So
Yes.
the idea of us talking about it
True.
is to destigmatize it and to put it in a larger context.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Okay, so we've talked about my background a little bit in some other podcasts, so we're going to basically walk through that quite a bit.
We have a lot of new listeners since then.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
so
Cool.
It'll be
Yeah,
good
you.
for everybody. Yeah.
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 So, my background initially, I consider myself a dancer. So, when I started dance at like 3, I taught myself how to moonwalk at like 6.
that's
Yeah.
cute.
Yeah. So, I've always been a dancer, but this is back when you had to like VHS tapes and like record music videos to learn
Yeah.
that stuff. Anyway, so being a dancer, I'm sure it's not like rocket science to realize that dancers might struggle with their body image.
I mean, in the sense of we've seen it in movies and stuff. but
Accurate.
Being that I'm not a dancer.
What? You're a really good dancer, by the way.
Well, thank you. But I could understand that now that since you've told me the story.
Yeah, so it was all good until like puberty hit,
Oh no.
right? And somehow, for the one brief moment in my life where I was the tallest one,
Oh.
it's hard to believe at 5'2".
Yeah.
But yeah, and then you're like developing and you're like different than all of the skinny people. And then I remained different from all of the skinny people. So my dance teachers, while they were brilliant, and the dance at school had like a 2 to 3 year wait list the last time I checked
Wow,
in.
that's
Yeah.
impressive.
They treated us like professionals even though we were 10.
Yeah.
So I was told a lot of times to try and keep stretching my legs because they look like tree trunks.
Which is funny to hear, like, stretch them so they'll
Tree
thin
trunks.
out. Like, what does that mean?
I was like, I'm not
Be
Stretch Armstrong.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it works that
All of a
way.
sudden you're going to be 7 foot tall.
I wish.
Yeah.
Just go hang from your toes and see if that helps.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I inherited my dad's physical genetics. He was a strong, you know what. So, and he played football, and so, like, I got his calves and not my mom's tall, skinny, lanky
Yes.
body. I got my dad's build.
Look muscular.
And, like, young.
Yes.
I remember doing my dad teaching me one-arm push-ups when I was really, like, little.
That's awesome.
So I always was initially out of the gate just stronger than everybody else, and made me feel like I was fat. Because what we had to do every year, we got measured for our not our uniforms, our like costumes.
Mm-hmm.
We would all just line up and go one by one by one, and they would measure from like your crotch to your shoulder as one measurement, and then around your waist, and then around your hips, and then they would read your numbers out loud
Oh, good God.
to the rest of the class.
This is anxiety provoking.
And I was like, I remember being 10 and thinking I was fat
Oh.
because I was like, my hips are a lot bigger than my peers, and I'm still like, they don't all have calves that are like the size of my male teenage neighbor.
Yeah.
You know. So then I was like, whatever, I just dealt with it, right? But then in my life, around 16 or so, just a lot of stress. Like, I remember my mom getting really sick, and my parents were separated or divorced at the time, but my mom got so sick, they were like, you probably should go to the hospital and say goodbye to her. We can't find her blood. So I had to, like, prepare for my mom to die the next day. My parents were divorced. I had a really bad relationship. My grandmother had just died. It was like, you shouldn't need to do all of this at 16. And, like, plus there was, like, trauma from before that. So I was eating my feelings, and I didn't realize I was eating my feelings until all of a sudden I was, like, a size 10 at 16 years old. From, like, a 2.
Yeah. Especially from a dancing background, to go to a size 10 would be
And then
fast.
remember, you have the day where you get measured in front of your peers.
Oh, good Lord.
So I went from competing in dance and being in, like, 8 numbers in a recital to I dropped everything and I did 1. And then I was like, I wasn't happy because dance was my life, and I just felt so uncomfortable. Like, I remember my skin, like, just feeling different. And I was like, I really don't like this. So that was, like, the start of, like, what do I do? Forget health class. They know nothing.
Yeah, they don't teach you this kind of stuff.
I will say, disclaimer, they knew nothing at the time. Like, they teach you, here's the food pyramid. Like, what is that going to teach me?
Yes.
So anyway.
Like, carrots are good for your eyes. Okay. Like, how do I get rid
Thanks.
of the, like, 20 pounds of fat?
Don't need too many. You might turn orange. I'm like, I don't think anyone's going to get, you know, show me who's been in the hospital for eating too many carrots.
Yeah.
So then I was like, okay, I had a friend in high school also that did Weight Watchers. And I was like, I'll jump on the bandwagon. Let me give it a shot. And I stole her, like, points calculator. And then the weight was, like, falling off. And I was like, this feels really good. And I felt better about myself.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, my grades were the best they ever were because I actually felt confident.
Yeah, isn't that
So it was like the shift in my mindset from 16 to 17 was, like, drastically different. But then I took it to an extreme because I was like, oh, this feels so good. Imagine if I got a little lighter and a little lighter.
There's no, like, finish line.
And with
The
our
finish line
personality,
keeps the move.
right?
Yes. We're very, when we decide to do something, it gets done. Yes.
Yeah. I'm glad we're both the same. So then I took it to an extreme because then it was like, you know, I tell you all the time, I didn't really get asked out.
Which
in school.
Is insane.
I didn't.
You were gorgeous.
I didn't.
You're gorgeous now.
I got set up on a blind date for, like, a sophomore dance. Like, I just didn't.
That's because the boys were intimidated.
No.
That's why I say that, because it's the only thing that makes sense.
No. It's because I wasn't easy and I had really big calves. Like, I was probably just not, you know.
I don't know.
So anyway.
You're gorgeous.
It wasn't like, and then all of a sudden, so skip all of that. Everyone listening is probably like, oh my God. But all of a sudden I started getting, like, asked out. And I was like, oh, that's fun. Yeah. So I would, like, get invited to, like, the beach for a day. And then I was like, this guy's a jerk. I don't want to do that again. And then I was like, wait a second, maybe this isn't a good thing.
Yeah.
But I kept losing weight. And then in dance, I was put in the center. And then I was put in the front line. And then I was on stage for solo. And then it was like, you're getting rewarded for losing weight.
Regardless of whether it's healthy or not.
Yes. Because then, like, I didn't, like, have my cycle for almost a year. My mom was like, do we need to go to the drugstore and buy anything? And I was like, no, I'm good. Like, did not even, like, come on. Like, oh my God.
17, 18, not even having a period at all for a year.
Yeah. No big deal.
That's probably not good.
And then I remember at my very skinniest when I was, like, way extreme. I couldn't make it to school one day. I forget what we were doing. We went somewhere, but I came back and everyone was like, we thought you died.
Ooh.
And I was like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, we just, you were getting so skinny, we thought you died. I was like, well, that's cool out of my class of 600 for everyone to think I died and spread that rumor.
Yeah.
And then, but I was like, let me step on the scale. I was 88 pounds.
Good God.
88 pounds. I think my leg weighs 88 pounds now.
That's beyond tiny.
So I was a 0 or doubles. I was a 0, 88 pounds, but my hair started falling out and I didn't have my cycle. So I remember showing my mom, I was like, look at this. And I would just like grab my hair and like a chunk would fall out.
Oh,
and I freaked out.
Reasonably.
So like I had a fake hairpiece for dance, so I would just like put my fake hairpiece in and wrap it around a bun so it looked like I had more hair because my hair was falling out.
Yeah.
But I was like, I look great. This looks great. Like, how do I stay like this and then like get the rest of myself back?
Yeah, how do I stay 88 pounds but not die?
Oh my god.
Yeah.
And so I guess those are the first two like major like swings, shifts.
Like
I was at my heaviest.
Eating your emotions to then starving your emotions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when the darkness began, right? Just like
that's what I mean.
yeah. Anyway, so that was like the major swings, and then I thought, shit. Oh, can I say that on the podcast?
Yeah, you can say that.
Okay.
Everybody's probably laughing.
Shit.
Like, he swears all the time.
Yeah. Well, I know that. I just don't know what he said on the podcast all the time. So, yeah, I just was like, so I need to get my cycle going again. I don't want my hair to keep falling out because I don't want to, like, be balding.
Yes.
You know, when I don't,
like, there
for
were
no
some
reason.
downsides to being
There's some downsides.
that way of being skinny.
Yeah. So then I started eating, but then I didn't know at the time, because I was still young, like 17.
Mm-hmm.
17?
Yeah, it's still, like, you were learning by experimentation, not like somebody was telling you what to do.
No one was telling me what to do.
No. And that's often a lot of times with youth is they're doing all this without telling anyone they're doing it.
True. So then I
it's
was just
hard.
like
Yeah.
eating a ton. I was like, okay, if I gain weight, if I just weigh more, I'll get it back. Like I didn't know like the healthy fat balance and like the protein
How to
and
make
like
it muscle.
gaining weight,
Yeah.
you know, with muscle and doing it healthy over time.
Mm-hmm.
It was just let me eat as much as I can to put weight back on. Well, then I was a walking water balloon.
Yeah, so it worked.
My senior year. Yeah. My senior year of high school, I was just like this walking fluffy water balloon. And I was gaining weight so fast my skin hurt.
That's wild.
My skin hurt to touch.
That is wild.
And I was like, this is what you want your senior year of high school when it's supposed to be like the best time of your life. And I was like, I can't touch my skin.
I'm a sore water balloon.
I feel like this also isn't healthy.
Really
Like, what
very,
am I doing?
Very sensitive seal.
The emotionally
Yes.
sensitive seal.
And skin sensitive because if you touched it, it hurt.
Yeah. But I remember telling my mom, this is gonna, y'all, this is gonna get dark real fast.
Okay, they're ready for it.
Buckle up.
We're all done.
But I know, but I remember like crying, thinking she wouldn't love me anymore because I was gaining weight.
Oh, good God. Yeah.
And she was like, "What?" Like she was stunned.
Mm-hmm.
But like I felt that because I put so much weight. I put so much value in my weight
Yeah,
that I
so
was
it's weight on
like,
your weight.
yeah, I was like, no one's gonna like me anymore, and like I'm
And
gonna.
you were rewarded for being thin. Remember, like you got put in the front of dance.
Oh yeah.
Which probably made your mom feel proud of you.
Oh, believe me,
so
I remember.
people would have expressed to you how proud they were of you, of the outcomes
Yeah.
of you starving yourself.
Yeah.
So therefore, if you're not starving yourself, if you're gaining weight, people aren't as proud of you.
Yeah, it was great.
Lovely.
It was good. It's real good.
Real good.
I know that's not proper English, but it's a joke.
Yeah.
Anyway,
It's a joke between us.
it was tough.
Yeah.
And, I mean, your senior year, isn't that supposed to be the best time of your life?
I don't know. I didn't have the best year.
Yeah, who am I talking to? I'm
I don't
talking
know.
to
I
me.
think people in movies do.
I'm talking
Yeah.
I'm talking to me. I should know better.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then I was like, well, anywho.
Anyway. We'll move past that emotional trauma.
There's just so much. So then I said, okay, I'm just going to own it. I was like, I'm going to be a fluffy water balloon, but I'm at least going to just try and enjoy the rest of my senior year.
Yes.
Screw it.
Good for you.
We're going to see what happens.
Yeah.
So then I went on a senior trip. Well, it was a gift to myself with my good friend at the time. She and I went on a cruise together with her mom and her mom's friend. And I was like, screw it. I am just going to rock a bathing suit, even though I feel like a painful walking water balloon.
Yes.
And I am going to just have fun, and I'm going to own it, and screw it, and I'm healthy, and forget about it.
Yeah.
Just go. And that's when I actually met my first, like, really long-term relationship.
Yes,
Was like,
yeah.
so I was like, so I just faked confidence so well that, like, it worked somehow.
Well, it shows how much people like personalities. Like there has to be some level of physical attraction, but your personality matters a lot.
Yeah.
You know, just being confident in yourself and happy with yourself.
So it was one of those, like, fake it till you make it kind of thing. I was like, I'm just gonna be confident and then see if confidence comes with it.
Yeah.
And it worked.
Yeah.
So then, but once I got to college, it kind of all leveled out a little bit. Like,
confidence-wise, just went down.
I mean, I won't say no.
Yeah. But when you say leveled out, what do you actually mean other than my joke?
I mean, like, I didn't look like a water balloon anymore.
Okay.
And my weight stabilized.
Okay.
And, like, I could eat healthy, and I was on my own. I was going to the gym. I was doing well in school. I was still doing dance. I did dance every year in college.
That's awesome.
So it all, like, kind of balanced out.
So you found, like, a happy place.
I did. Yeah, it was good. I won't even talk about my undergraduate university, but...
Okay.
The whole thing overall, in general, I came out healthier than I did going into it.
That's a
Is that
wonderful
fair?
statement.
I came out healthier than I did going in?
Yes, that is the glossing over.
Let's gloss over that.
Yeah. We'll save that for another podcast.
Man. Mod on, if people knew. Anyway, so then, after college, but then I was an athlete, right? I danced my whole life, and then I danced through college and I graduated and I went, well, this real world thing kind of sucks a little bit.
Yeah,
like, what do I do?
Yeah, it's a little busier than I expected.
But I danced for, on average, probably 30, 35 hours. Plus, I also dabbled in some sports in school, like I did lacrosse, track. But then I didn't, like, have a thing. I was like, what's my thing? What do I do?
A lot of athletes, like high school athletes and college athletes, struggle with that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Big time didn't know what to do. And then you're in the real world, and I was a teacher, so I worked 24/7, and I had 2 or 3 jobs. And I was like, I'm not even working out. I remember being so sad once that I wasn't able to dance, and I didn't have a thing. I was, like, crying. And I went to New York City and took classes for, like, a week, and it was, like, just, like, a dose of serotonin and dopamine and like all of the good things. And it was like, oh, I feel so much better. But I was like, damn, I really need to find a thing.
Yeah, that's hard. You lose, like, a part of your identity.
Yeah.
Part of who you are.
So it was tough. So it took some time, but then once I moved from Philadelphia, I needed a change. Philadelphia, I loved it for a lot of reasons. Not the city of brotherly love, though.
Yeah.
Like, not everyone is, while everybody's in a rush, it was just different.
Okay.
Right? I needed to change. So I moved down to North Carolina, drastically different. It was the best thing that I could have done for myself, but very, very hard at the same time. But it is, I discovered CrossFit not long after moving. So I was like, okay, now maybe this could be my thing. Because you just, like, walk in and you do something and people look at you and they're like, how did you do that?
Yeah, because you were naturally strong and muscular, which is rewarded in CrossFit.
In CrossFit, yeah. And I was like, well, this is cool. Like, they don't tease me here.
Yeah.
I was like, they ask me how I got my calves here.
Yeah.
Versus being, like, chastised, go stretch them out and hang from the...
How many calf raises do you do?
If
like,
I could
0.
tell you... Oh my God, how many times I get asked that?
20
How'd you get your
years
calves?
Yeah.
And I say, I'm like, dude, do ballet for 25 years. They're like, oh, okay. I'm like, no, for real. Yeah. Are they implants? No. Shush your face.
That's hilarious for a woman to be asked if those are the implants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. My calves were really ridiculous, though.
You have awesome calves. I love your calves.
Thank you.
Yes, but you've made me get rid of them, so...
A little bit, because they were bigger than yours.
Hurts my soul.
They're as big as your calves.
I loved your legs. But
Thank
you
you.
still have beautiful legs.
Thank you very much.
But we have gotten rid of some of your calves.
Yes, thank God. Anyway, CrossFit.
Yeah, back to what we were talking about.
Yeah. But it was awesome. However, it wasn't until later, working with you, that I realized I was doing CrossFit with dance turnout.
Oh, yeah, your hips were
So
Incorrect
also like hugely limiting in what I could do, but still just like throwing stupid weight.
You were
with,
strong
like-
enough to train with the men in certain movements,
Yeah.
even though your body positions
Correct.
were completely the wrong.
Correct.
And it wasn't that like
I couldn't help it.
what I was bummed about. Yeah, is no one told you.
No.
Like people would say like be more upright in your torso.
Yeah.
Okay, but how? Or why am I
Yeah.
not? Like
Yeah.
why does it feel like I am but I'm not?
Yeah.
And that's where like a lot of times people can tell you what the right cues are, but they don't tell you how to actually achieve that cue.
Correct.
And that's where like then when we start working together, it's like, oh, we'll just do this, this, and this, and then I'll fix that. Over time.
Yeah. So then I went from being like kind of normal, average, kind of like just general cortisol bloat kind of feel
Like CrossFit, where you were like you're almost not being able to out eat how active you are.
Yeah.
So everybody's a little bit soft.
I lost a lot of fat.
They're like lean-ish, but they're soft lean.
I lost a lot of fat.
Yeah.
And then I felt really good. And I felt really confident because I got to be strong. And then also I was leaner.
Yes, yeah.
I was like, well, this is cool.
Mm-hmm.
Where has this been my whole life?
Yes.
Right? So then I dipped down in weight again and I lost fat. And it was great. But then something really fun happened. Is I started to be slower in my movements. And I was like, I know I can drop faster than this. What's happening? Like, this is really weird.
Yeah.
And I think I talked about it in another podcast, but for the new folks, I was teaching one of my anatomy and physiology classes at the time, and I was like, just take this reflex hammer. I'm going to hop up on the desk. Just take this hammer, hit my knees. They were like, what? Just hit my knees. Let's see if I have I had no reflex.
Oh, no.
Now, I knew enough at this time, going, for undergrad in biochemistry, I knew enough at this time that I was like, okay, this is like a hormone issue. This is bad. Because my reflexes were so strong. And then I was falling asleep at like 4:30 in the afternoon to the next day. Like, I can't sleep.
No, yeah, you can't sleep at all.
I can't sleep.
Certainly can't.
And then I was overeating again. And I was like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
And I was gaining weight. And then I knew enough to know I went to an endocrinologist. I ended up having a tumor in my neck.
Ugh.
On my parathyroid. I had a parathyroid tumor. Once I got that, taken out, then I didn't feel the need to overeat, and my emotions were better. Like, just, it is so wild what just a little difference in a hormone will do to you.
Oh gosh, absolutely.
Hugely difference. And then, so that stabilized again. However, I took a 40-ish day cross-country road trip. And I came back again looking like a water balloon.
No.
But, like, why does my body keep going to water balloon status?
True.
Right? Like, what am I doing? Why do I keep just coming back looking like a water balloon? And I remember taking a photo thinking, I do not ever want to look like this again.
Oh.
I was like, this is no good.
Yeah.
And then I did the whole 30, but I did the whole 60. I did it back to back for 60 days.
Yeah, which is a diet. Like a type of diet that people are
A diet.
with it.
Yeah. It was but it's basically just like logic eating.
It's eating in a healthy manner. Like a lot of times what people do, I'm going to take like 30 seconds.
Take as much time as you
A lot
want.
of times people, after a period of overeating, realizing they don't look the way they want, they overdo undereating and or overexercise, which creates too great of a deficit.
Yeah.
In the initial response to that, the body looks and feels great.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden it swings too far. So as much as they were overeating, they're now under-eating or over-exercising. And then all of a sudden, when you go on a trip or something like that, or when life changes a little bit, the body super compensates and soaks everything in, has really high cortisol, so you end up really watery.
Yeah.
So in the history of your life, it was, I realized I was overweight, I overcorrected.
Yeah.
Then I kind of like, something happened, life happened, I went back to
Overcorrected.
normal eating.
Yeah.
And then I gained a bunch because I had overcorrected.
Yeah.
And I overcorrected again.
Yeah.
So what happens is by you doing the whole 30 for 60 days, you didn't overcorrect. You actually just corrected.
Yes.
And that was a huge change for you was finally the adjustment was a correct adjustment.
Yeah. And I never stepped on a scale during that time, I'll say.
Yeah, that's true.
I didn't step on a scale, but like I took photos, and the photos were drastically different.
Yes.
Drastically different. So then I got to a good place, but then, like usual, my life went to crap.
Yes.
And I left a relationship. I quit teaching. I tried to find my way in the world. And then I stopped going to CrossFit for a while because it was so painful, because that was all like my ex and I did at the time. And I was like, I can't walk into a CrossFit gym. This is just going to be too painful. I'm going to be too sad. So here I am, jobless, basically. Newly single at 30, which is great. Feels really good.
For every woman, feels like you've just
feels really good.
Responsibility for children in life.
Yeah, it feels really good.
Yeah.
And then I don't have my thing anymore. And it was so much of a thing. You can look up Fit to Teach on YouTube. Like,
it was your thing.
Deep into it. Mm-hmm. But it's just because I wanted to help everybody change their life.
Yeah.
So then I just was like, okay, who am I now?
In so many ways.
In so many ways.
Career, relationship,
oh my God.
or lifestyle.
Let's just turn my life inside out at 30.
Yeah. It's like you turn it inside out and then let go of it. Like, just, I'm going to turn it inside out and then drop it on the floor.
That's basically what it felt like.
Yeah.
And then I gained weight.
Yep.
Just because I didn't have money, so I was inconsistently eating.
Yes, that's a big one.
Very inconsistent. It was like I ate when I had money to eat.
Yes.
So then I looked awful.
Every 2 Fridays.
Yeah.
Every other Friday you ate food.
Yeah. I looked awful.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, shit. Here we are again.
Yeah, it's the too high, too low.
What the? Can I just once, yeah, it was like so frustrating. And I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do a bodybuilding competition.
Yes, because that's what people do when they're down and out. They do the worst possible thing to themselves.
Oh my God.
Bodybuilding shows are incredibly challenging. It's a 24/7 sport.
Yeah.
If people aren't familiar with it, because it's not just what you do in the gym that is important. It's very important.
Yeah.
But what you do at all other times directly impacts the progress. So bodybuilding is, in my opinion, one of, if not the worst mentally.
The worst.
Like, it's so overwhelming because every single thing you do all day matters.
The worst.
Yes.
The worst. I even wrote a LinkedIn article about my experience bodybuilding.
True. You did.
Yeah.
How that translates to like.
It was like top 10 it was like top 10 things I learned from bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Prep. Yeah. I wrote that because it was like, let me just tell you what this was like.
Yeah.
So anyway, at least, so let's see, the journey started at like 16.
Overall.
And we're now basically 16 years later doing all of this.
That's a good point. Yeah, 16.
So 16 years, we started at 16, we're 16 years later. But over those 16 years, I've like seen my body change enough to say, I just have to be in the right mindset, because I knew also I can't go into this sport unhealthy.
Yeah.
And I've talked about that in prior podcasts.
Yeah, but that's a good.
I was like, I got to get my mind right.
Yeah.
Because I know I am going to be standing in a room that has 12 mirrors in it.
Yeah.
Because it's like angled mirrors, ceiling, floor, sides.
You can see every inch of your
everything. Like, imagine a dressing room, but like 10 times worse.
Yes.
And you have someone in there judging you.
Yeah. Yes.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
So
it's a changing room.
A judging room.
With spectators. Yeah. So next time you're trying on new pants, remember.
Oh
just
my
imagine
God.
Somebody was watching you do that.
But like not in a creepy way.
Oh, that's true. I didn't think about the creepy way. Yes.
So I was like, I'm gonna be.
Let's move on.
Let's just blow past that.
Yeah.
So I knew I was like, oh, this is gonna get really not cute pretty soon.
I like that.
And then I'm gonna have to step on a scale, and I'm gonna have to report my weight every week.
Yeah, the coach at the time was asking you to do that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, this is gonna get uncomfortable. I'm gonna grow, so I'll give it a shot.
Okay. Yes.
I have to look better than I do now.
Yes.
So, but like, even me, who has gone to the gym forever, stepped into a gym intimidated.
Yeah, and why so?
because I was fluffy. And I didn't know a thing about bodybuilding. I could go lift weights, open up Women's Fitness and go through their workouts, or
do some of the stuff you do,
Gym Bible or whatever. Yeah. And do stuff, and I know enough to just not balloon up and enjoy myself, but I didn't know enough to know what to do.
You knew enough not to end up on a gym fails video.
True. Yeah. Who knows? I might be out there somewhere doing something. I'm thinking of all the gym fails at the time. But even I was intimidated, and I'm like, well, let's just give it a shot. Hell with it, and let's just do it. Yeah. Because hate everything about my life right now. Let's just keep at it. Can't get worse than this. If everything sucks, I'm at least gonna look really good.
There you go. Yes.
Right? And people told me I couldn't do it, so let's just guaranteed I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
So I did it.
Good for you.
Thank you. But I realized I had to be in such a good headspace because of all of the scrutiny, and I just had to roll with the punches.
Yeah.
We're all right, I'm going to step on a scale, and you're going to take away a little bit of food, and I'm going to have to do extra cardio, and this is just going to be my life.
Yes.
And so that was interesting. And then halfway through the process, I lost my job.
Oof.
What do you think happened?
You gained weight.
I gained weight. I ballooned up again, and I watched all of my peers I was training with get on stage, and here I am fluffy again, and I was like, I refuse to let this be my thing. This is no no. So I crushed it at work when I got a job. Absolutely crushed it. It was great. I enjoyed it, and I was like, I remember my coach saying, oh, well, now you don't have a job, so you can live in the gym. And I was like, what world do you live in where that's a possibility?
No, I gotta go make money, bro.
I'm 32, living on my own. I'm now unemployed. I have an air mattress in an empty apartment. And you think I'm gonna live in a gym?
Yeah.
No. Just no. Oh my God. So what do you think I did? Back to the gym, showing up fluffy. I'm like, all right, round 2. This is gonna happen.
Yeah.
But again, it's all right, everyone in there might judge me and think I was a failure. I don't care. Take your dirty looks and do whatever you want with them. I'm just here to work out. I'm just here to apparently win overall.
Yes, which is what you did.
I know.
Yeah. So you ended up, you were able to get on stage.
Yeah.
And you kicked ass.
Yeah. But what was so interesting, because I was like, I'm not gonna just let it fizzle out.
No.
Right. So I came back, I crushed it. But during the process, and I still have the posts on my phone, when I was getting really close to stage ready, first of all, you're up at 2 a.m., you can't sleep, you're starving, your stomach is eat something, and you're like, not right now.
Yeah,
cool. I can't.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go do cardio instead.
Mm-hmm.
But it is organized eating disorders. It feels
it's a purposeful,
it's so scientific.
Yeah, it's a purposeful way to eat that is not what your body prefers.
Right.
So it's not.
But it's monitored.
You're not eating this way out of punishment.
Yeah.
You're not eating this way out of self-deception.
But I went to the doctor. I got blood work during the process. Yeah. It was monitored. But full circle now. Mm-hmm. So I stepped on the scale 2 weeks before my show, and I was 134 pounds.
Yeah.
Almost, barely any fat on me. Yeah. I was 134 pounds, and I was in a size 0 pant.
Yes.
The start of the story of this podcast, I was unhealthy, losing my hair, no cycle, size 0, 88 pounds.
Yeah. So you're talking about 50 pounds.
So over that time, over 16, 18 years, I put on 50 pounds of muscle.
And probably a little more because your body fat was probably lower than it was at 88.
Absolutely was.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Yes.
What? 50 pounds of muscle, the same size, but totally, my mind was food is just fuel, and weight is just a data point.
Yes.
And clothing size is just a data point, and the way I feel is a data point. Everything was just data. And bodybuilding is not an overnight sport.
God, no.
Like, and it is just, most of it happens when you're not being watched. Sure, you can go to the gym for 2 hours a day. What are you doing the other 22 hours?
Yeah, or you make one cool social media post a day.
Yeah.
But what are you doing the other 23 and a half hours? Yeah.
Right. So it was like, and then after that, thankfully, I've never had another issue with food, ever.
Yeah, you eat
after
very
my
well.
show. Never.
Yeah.
Never emotionally tied to food, and I'm very thankful for that. Never been emotionally tied to food. Just my tastes have changed. That bodybuilding was like a radical shift in like what food does for you, how much you really need, what do you eat for aesthetics, what do you eat to get stronger. And it was no longer, I'm going to jump on this fad diet, I'm going to do a juice cleanse, which I never did, by the way, because that just sounds awful. But just a huge mindset shift. But that took 18 years.
Yes.
20.
Yeah.
20
and
years.
Even the bodybuilding journey, how long did that, just the bodybuilding journey take? If you could just give a reference.
Year and a half.
Yeah. So if somebody's like, well, I'll do bodybuilding, and that'll teach me how to eat healthy, and then 2 months in, why don't I have that? Like, why don't I have the feeling she was explaining in a month or in 2 months?
Yeah.
It's like, no, it takes time. It takes time to learn how to separate emotion
I
from
was about
food.
to say that. I was like, you have to mentally just say, I'm going to put all this aside. I'm going to just put my stuff to the side and look at it for what it is.
Yeah, weight doesn't define me.
Weight doesn't define
my value
me.
as a person.
My pant size doesn't define me.
Food doesn't make
Food
problems
doesn't.
go away.
Yeah, food doesn't fix anything.
No.
Not eating food doesn't fix anything.
Yeah, that's true. Yes.
So like it was all of a sudden just one day at a time. You do your thing. You do your workout. You eat your food. You rest. You repeat for a year and a half.
Yeah, you have to learn other ways to manage emotions.
Yeah, and I did, and I'm very thankful for that. But to this day, it's just I eat when I'm hungry.
Yes.
I stop when I'm full.
Yes.
I eat what I know I should, protein at every meal.
Mm-hmm.
Did I work out that day? Did I not?
If I work
What
out,
time is it?
more,
A little more. You're right.
Yeah.
Is it really late at night and I'm going to go to bed?
Probably don't need as much.
Just protein.
Yeah, maybe just pour power.
Right. So, like, it has absolutely shifted my mindset. But I would caution folks that bodybuilding is not like an easy fix.
It's not an instant fix.
It's not an instant fix. And and it can be expensive.
If you compete.
If you compete.
Yes. And now there are cheap ways to eat. There are very expensive ways that some coaches will tell you to eat.
Yeah.
And you don't need 17 supplements, by the way. So,
No.
so if you do bodybuilding type eating, you can do that in a way that maybe raises normal food expenditure, either the exact same, maybe 5 to 10%.
Yeah.
If you exchange going out to eat for just picking better foods, you're probably going to be a wash money-wise.
Yeah.
So it can be inexpensive if you don't compete, but if you compete, it is expensive because of suit costs, especially for females.
Suits,
and then
training,
show entries,
tanning, fees.
and then you do probably want to get some supplements towards the end to help with energy and fat loss. And, food substitutions, like whey protein powder rather than whole food.
Yeah.
So it can be expensive in the competitive part. It doesn't have to be, but it is a way that people can learn how to manage food as fuel. But it's not instant. It takes a little bit of time. But it's a fun goal too, because not only are you learning how to eat correctly, you're also looking at your body changing. You're seeing how you're.
It was so cool.
You're seeing what your body can do, not always like what I look like is what defines me.
Yeah, and it was so cool though.
I'm happy for you.
Yeah, but it did. My mindset is completely different now than it was, as I would hope it would be. When I was in my teens. 20s, heck, even early 30s. And now I take all of that knowledge with me going into like a little mini cut or like focusing on a goal or having another goal, and it's like everything is just a data point. Yeah. Everything is just a data point. So, that's it. That's a lot of swings, I feel like we talked about.
Yeah, and I think the common pattern, what I would like to tie it back in is people tend to, they realize they're overweight. People don't purposely overeat, they do it as a secondary reaction to something.
Right.
But they get to the point of being overly fat.
Yeah.
And they're like, I want something to change.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, what can be a negative reaction is people overcorrect.
Overcorrect.
And it looks great and it feels great initially. But then all of a sudden you start to run into, after a couple weeks, after a couple months, okay, I've lost some body fat, but now I'm severely under eating. I'm really highly stressed. My body feels like crap.
Mm-hmm.
So the overcorrection doesn't seem like an overcorrection initially.
Mm-hmm.
But
True.
then it flattens out and things go to crap. And then they're worn out, they're tired, they're exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
Something happens in life, then they tend to overeat or they go back to eating in a way that they didn't learn how the right way to eat.
Yeah.
So we talk about in the podcast all the time about what's a healthy structure of eating.
Mm-hmm.
So we on the website, if you go to our website, www.brutalirongym.com, there's a page that says free nutrition education. If you click on that page, the first link on there is a document you can view or print that says create your own nutrition program. And there's a podcast associated with it, and I tell you step by step how to make your own nutrition program. And the reason why I give it away for free is that I just want people to be able to eat healthy, and people can pay the service to try to help me figure out how to blend it into your life and stuff. But I want the information to be free, so that way people know, okay, if I've been overeating, I can do XYZ diet to lose weight. Mm-hmm. But what am I going to do after that? Am I just going to go back to what was my habits that made me overweight?
Right.
Or can I sustain the diet I'm doing as a new way of life? If the new diet isn't a sustainable way of life, what are you going to do afterwards?
Yeah.
And people don't learn what to do after.
Everybody thinks it's sustainable until it's not.
Until it isn't. Exactly.
Everybody says, I'm going to do this. I'm like, yeah, but for how long? What?
I'm going to completely cut out carbs, or I'm only going to eat it in these few hours of life. Or I'm only going to eat I'm going to eat these
fasting.
food groups, but not these food groups.
Yeah. I'm going to eat only red things.
Yes, and whatever the diet
Sure.
is. You know, and it's it will likely work short term. Mm-hmm. But what are you going to do after?
Yeah.
What are you going to do after? And that's where that free document on our website will help, is it educates what to do after.
I even wish I had something like that. I had a basic knowledge, but oh my God, was I under eating? I was under eating, and I think that was why I just kept ballooning up during life changes.
Yes, because once you went back to eating, your body said, "Oh my gosh, I need to hold
this." Yeah.
And I haven't been getting what I needed, so let me hold on to everything. Mm-hmm. Yes, and that's normal, especially CrossFit. Almost every CrossFit athlete I work with undereats, almost every single one.
Yeah,
so you get them eating a little bit more.
Because you're a traitor if you eat rice.
Oh yeah, there's definitely the stigma of how to eat as a CrossFitter.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's if you get them to eat timing wise, how many CrossFit people work out fasted? Mm-hmm. Oh my God, it's so bad for your aesthetics.
Yeah.
You can get through the workout. I'm not saying you can't, but the aesthetics of that, it leaves you flat. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And part of it too, we always did a paleo challenge every year at the gym, but the whole point was, it was basically what it was. It was like an elimination diet.
Yes.
So you eliminate most of the things that are triggers or going to cause inflammation, and then it's from my perspective, it was never intended to be forever. Reintroduce things after you did the challenge. Yeah. See how you feel with that added in. Now that you kind of have a base, right? You have that base of this is generally healthy. I'm going to start with this.
That's what's hard too. Is sometimes people say a healthy calorie count is 2,000 calories. In an elimination style diet, whether it's eliminate carbs, eliminate fats, eliminate this, eliminate that, they tell you don't eat X, XYZ, or
right,
XYZ.
True.
But then all of a sudden your calories go from 2,000 down to 1,600. Mm-hmm. No one tells you to replace.
To replace what you're eliminating.
An elimination, but not a replacement. And then the calories just go down, down, down. The person feels like shit. And then they start to replace. They start to add back in, but they don't know to add back to only 2,000.
Right.
They've been feeling like crap for so long, they add back to 2,200, 2,400, 2,600.
Right.
Then all of a sudden they feel good, but now they're 600 calories over their maintenance. They start gaining fat back.
Right.
So then they go back to an elimination. So when you don't have awareness of calorie maintenance, you end up eliminating, adding, and you're always going over, under.
And I did that for 18 years.
Oh, so people do it all the time. It's sad.
Yeah.
I did it, in the younger years.
Yeah.
When I didn't know any of this
Your
stuff.
story's next.
Yeah.
Different podcast.
But I think one of the things I wanted to get out of today's podcast was everyone who has felt some aspect of your story, you're not alone. Overwhelmingly, most people have felt some variation of this.
Yeah. Or at least one segment of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They've felt something in this story.
Right.
And so often people think they're broke. They're the only, like, their body's broken.
Yes.
You know, or diets don't work for me. Or I feel this, I'm going through this, but people will judge me if I were to say about it.
Yeah.
No, everyone goes through it. So many people go through this.
Yeah.
So many. So people aren't alone if they're feeling that way. And then one of the other things I'd like them to know is like you said, is your weight is a data point. It gives you an idea of what your body's health is.
Yes.
Not what your body's value is.
One data point, because at the same size, at a 50-pound range.
Yeah, your story. Yeah, you were
at the
134.
And then at the same weight, it was a 10 range in size.
Yeah, you
so
did
it's
130 size 10 and 130 size 0.
Yes.
Yeah.
At 16, I was 136, pushing 140, size 10, 12.
Yeah.
And then at 32-ish, I was a size 0, 134, stepping on stage.
Yeah, it was badass.
Lean.
Yes. So 130 didn't define whether you were
130
fit or
doesn't
not fit.
freaking matter.
Yeah,
didn't matter.
Exactly.
Didn't freaking matter.
It's a data point.
Because I was on stage going, "Oh, the hell am I 134?" Like, because my mind went to, "Wow, remember when you were like that chubby girl in high school and you were 134?" Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, "Well, this is pretty badass.
This is pretty cool.
This is awesome. Like, how did this even happen?"
Yeah.
You know. And then I was like, "Oh wait, no, I know exactly how it happened.
Shit,
All that work, yeah."
Yeah.
But yeah, because it's just, and this all was like, we were organically talking about this because at the gym today we were talking about just like the feel of like, you know, how do you feel now, and just like seasons of life, and making sure our diet's right and reaching a goal. And I just shared, I was like, man, to think about where I was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And like the entire shift in mindset, body, like physique, all of it. Yeah. You know, it's just wild. So we thought we'd do a podcast.
Yeah.
And
so
here
I thought it was fun to share. Yep.
Yeah.
So that's basically all that's in there, is all the takeaways.
I hope that helped. And you can always reach out, brutalironjim@gmail.com.
Yes.
I'm always
so
happy
if somebody
to
has any
help
struggles,
this.
you have any questions, if you want to avoid the overcorrection, then for the rebound to not doing things right. But if you want help with that, just shoot us an email. Our email is brutalironjim@gmail.com, and I'll always help with sending resources. Like, I get emails, which I love, regularly, and I respond to everybody within 2 weeks, but I get emails from all over the world, which is super motivating. That's really cool. So I love the email, so don't hold back from sending an email. If it's something I can answer in a podcast, I'll make another podcast. If it's something I can answer by shooting a past podcast or some documents, I help every single person. To the best of my knowledge, I've never missed an email, and I have not sent somebody an answer at some point. So reach out if you need anything. Again, the email is brutalironjim@gmail.com. Okay, so if you like the podcast, please support the podcast by sharing it on social media. However you do it, we just appreciate that you do it, so we know more people will know about the podcast and they can be helped by it. If you do like the podcast, you can consider supporting it, which you can do on our website with a donation, a one-time donation, or a small monthly donation. And then if you like our podcast, we do share other types of information on our social media. You can find us, and please follow us under the name Brutal Iron Gym on Instagram and YouTube. Okay, so thank you, Meredith, for joining us and telling us your story.
Thank you.
Yes. And then, as always, I hope this was helpful, and thank you for listening.